Again, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on today's webinar. This is a very special webinar that is going to be kind of co-presented by myself here at Sales Loft, but it's really going to be the main show of our partner, Sendoso. And we've got a couple of people here from Sendoso who are going to be talking to you guys today about how you can use gifting within your sales cycle, all the way from if you're doing prospecting up to if you're running cadences through to your customers. So I will turn it over to the Sendoso team and let them kind of introduce themselves and really get going with the meat of the presentation here today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Kat, for the kind introduction. And I just wanted to say thank you to the Sales Loft team for having us here. Introducing myself, I am Jordan Levisi. I'm the Director of Sales for the SMB and commercial segment here over at Sendoso. Been here for almost 4 years, selling our gifting platform, our sending platform, and I am obviously a gifting fanatic myself. And you know, my rule of thumb in anything gifting is relevance matters and personalization matters. And we'll talk a lot more about that stuff throughout the presentation, but excited to be here and educate everyone on how we can better use gifting throughout the customer lifecycle.
Yeah, and I'm Kaya Chikawa. I am the head of product marketing at Sendoso. I've been with the company about 14 months, 15 months now, goes quickly. And I am also a gifting fanatic. I both love to send gifts, but I also love to receive them. So I'm all about that recipient experience. So it's definitely a fun business to work on, and we're seeing lots of applications for it in the business world. So anyway, excited to talk to you about sending as part of your marketing strategies. Awesome. So we're going to go through a couple of things today, and Jordan and I are going to sort of split the time and hopefully address all your questions and share some insights with you. But for today, we'll go through kind of the challenge that we're all facing as marketers and salespeople. So really, engagement is a challenge, and in the hybrid world, digital engagement is a huge challenge. We'll talk about how sending is a great strategy to help uplift the digital engagement. And we'll also talk about how it's used throughout the life cycle. And then obviously we want to make sure to address any questions that come up. So please don't be shy with questions. So in essence, as marketers and the salespeople, we've observed a lot of things, but just, I'm going to state some of the obvious here. Our customer journeys have evolved. Really, in the hybrid world, it's really about online experiences and online engagement. And we are slowly dipping our toe back into in-person. In fact, I'm going to a conference next week in person in Austin, which is exciting, but that's a rarity right now. So, digital engagement or online engagement is really the norm for us and for many of you. So we're also seeing trends that this dip into virtual and hybrid is not necessarily just a fad. It's here to stay. So we see that B2B sales interactions between salespeople and suppliers really are going to be largely done through digital channels, not just now, but in the future. And as marketers, budgets are really being directed towards digital initiatives that are going to really uplift engagement through the channels that we have to talk to our customers and prospects. So no surprise, hybrid is the new normal. The way we're participating here is pretty standard. In fact, McKinsey showed a study recently that polled businesses, and 96% of B2B sales teams are fully or partially on remote selling. So it is definitely here, and it's something we're all working through. But the challenge is that since we're all here using the digital channels, so are all of our competitors and anybody who's trying to do business. So the number of digital channels available to us as marketers and as salespeople is limited until a new paradigm is invented or a new technology is invented that allows us to engage in a different way. The channels we have are the channels we have. And as a result, we're seeing huge saturation in terms of the amount of investment going into those channels, not just Sendoso, but I'm sure all of you are doing the same. So you can just look at how the investment in each of the digital channels we have is increased remarkably. And what does that mean for the recipient? It means insane amounts of volume. And I don't know if, I don't know about you, but I find myself just taking a big Control A and just deleting huge swaths of my inbox because I know it's just offers that I'm not that interested in. It's just, it's a little overwhelming. So you can see here, literally engagement rates have dropped significantly. I think the crush of just marketing and noise and engagement and offers is out the roof. So what we're seeing is engagement rates dropping across all our digital channels. A couple of examples, early on, email was a very effective channel. In the early days of email, you could generate lots of revenue with very little push. And as that has skyrocketed to today, you can see how the click-through rates and response rates have really just plummeted as the volume has increased. So really it's a commodity, and people are really being very selective about what they engage with. And our customers and prospects are no different. Digital advertising also has the same challenge. We see that ad response rates are decreasing as well. And I think any marketer in the room can attest to that. But really, in essence, the channels aren't the issue. It's how we use them that really is, we need to think about how we use those channels. And there's actually a better way to engage using the channels we have. More personable, it invites connection, and it actually invites a conversation with your prospect or customer.
And I'll take it from here, Kai. Obviously, what we're here to talk about today is intelligent sending, opening up this gifting, this offline channel. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about our partner SalesLoft and their technology. They're an engagement tool, and they allow for multiple channel approach, omni-channel approach, and gifting and direct mail is here as a supplement to those channels to actually help those channels better perform and maximize the investments across the board with digital and offline channels. So, obviously sending allows you as a seller, a customer success person, wherever your role, to connect in a more personal, a more engaging way, in a typically kind of underutilized channel as well. So this is a strategy that can be leveraged through the customer journey, all the way from a completely cold account or contact. How do we warm them up? How do we drive awareness and drive leads to actually set up an initial meeting? And then once we set up that initial meeting, how do we stay top of mind? How do we educate them throughout the sales process? How do we get other stakeholders involved? Typically, there's, on average, about 4 to 6 stakeholders in every single deal. How do we develop relationships with each individual, but also get them involved as early as possible in that sales process? And once we've got the buy-in, how do we get through procurement? One of my favorite sends actually, as a best practice is anytime we get into legal, or, we're doing a security review with the procurement team, I always like to show them some love. The legal team, the procurement team, they get forgotten about a lot of the time. And, that's a great way to help them prioritize maybe your contract and getting that done quicker. Once that contract's signed, how do you really build off that relationship? How do you get that relationship kicked off on the right foot? A lot of our customers, we send our customers a welcome kit. I have my team send out a celebratory bottle of champagne. Hey, looking forward to the partnership. Let's share a drink together to kick things off. And then once they're, obviously onboarded, how do we create and develop those relationships with our customers? I like to think of milestone gifts, 3, 6, 9 months. Life milestone, someone gets promoted, your champion gets promoted. Maybe they're going out on maternity leave, they're having a baby, send them a onesie. There's millions of ways to be thoughtful with gifting. You just have to be conscious in what you're doing, and obviously making that gift relevant, personalized to that person is the key there. And so again, just to summarize, gifting can be a solution across the whole customer life cycle. That doesn't mean you have to start in every single area. Typically people, if you haven't done this before, we'll maybe start with 2 or 3 main priority use cases and build out from there. So let's dig into a little bit of social proof of how some of our customers have leveraged gifting in different points of the customer journey to produce outcomes, and obviously positive outcomes and a major return on their investment. So this is one of my favorite customers, Guru. They are a collaborative knowledge management platform. So you can find answers anywhere, every time. And they're almost a 300-person company, and obviously has been a fantastic customer to us, a fantastic partner as well. So kind of the problem that Guru was trying to solve was they were needing to, probably a problem across the board, is stand out with cold prospects. How do we separate our brand from a competitive market? How does that individual seller separate themselves as, someone that they can trust, someone that obviously they want to develop a relationship, and gifting is kind of the solution here that they wanted to open up for their sales and marketing team. So what they did was they used obviously Sendoso to send out one of our most popular and engaging sends, and that's a sweet treat, cupcakes. And a lot of the messaging, I think messaging is important, right? How do you tie the gift to your value proposition and what you're hoping to get out of that interaction, right? So they sent they sent cupcakes with the messaging around, hey, it'd be sweet to me. Punny messaging goes a long way. Obviously, if you can make someone laugh and kind of have a bright spot in their day, it goes a long way. So they sent cupcakes, they sent coffee cards to remind them of meetings, and they also sent personalized gifts to these cold leads that were not responding with their email engagements and social selling, LinkedIn. And then once they had those initial conversations set up, they would actually send personalized thank you notes. That's a service Sendoso provides, is we can actually write out real handwritten notes to your prospects, to your customers and partners. And obviously the impact was huge for Guru. They were able to increase from cold outreach. They were able to 5x the response rate from their current baseline just by implementing a offline channel like Sendoso, cupcakes, personalized gifts, and e-gift cards. They were able to increase that response rate by 5x. They were able to increase pipeline by 3x. Again, these are not, super expensive gifts. It doesn't have to be, this $250 bottle of really expensive champagne. It can be something as simple as, cupcakes, cookies, obviously something that's delicious. One other thing I really like about the sweet treats, especially in this hybrid world, is they're shareable. So I can't tell you how many times we've gotten feedback. We've sent, cupcakes, cookies to someone's home. We have an address confirmation functionality, so they can receive this at their home. And a lot of people have kids at home, and we got summer coming up. They got family members, and the response we get when they're able to share that with their family really allows us to stand out and develop a bond with that prospect. And I think that's one of the best things about anything that's shareable, like a sweet treat, is they get to share that, at home with their family, their friends. And hey, if they're in the office, they get to share it with their coworkers. And I like to call it a water cooler moment. People start talking about, hey, who sent this to you? What do they do? It's a great, conversation starter. And overall, from an outbound meetings perspective, Sendoso, actually, they're able to attribute 40% of all of their cold outbound meetings are attributed to some type of Sendoso gifting direct mail send. So obviously an awesome case study, an awesome customer story around driving interest, more on that top of funnel use case when we're obviously prospecting into cold accounts. And yes, Katrina, I can share more about how we get people's home addresses. Fireman, another great customer, a longtime customer of Sendoso. They were looking to engage prospects, and this was actually during COVID. So obviously there was a lot going on, a lot of uncertainty. Go-to-market motions were stalled for the most part. And Fireman provides an advanced network security management solution. So, they're really focused in upmarket, enterprise. And a lot of their pipeline, a lot of their deals would come from in-person events, wining and dining customers or prospects, visiting, flying to them. And during, the COVID pandemic, they had to pivot. And so with their in-person events being canceled, they needed obviously a new way to connect with their prospects, drive demand with their buyers in industries where compliance is a priority. So what they did, they leveraged Sendoso's virtual experiences, similar to what we're doing today. Sendoso provides virtual experiences. Think of, a cocktail making class, a virtual magic show. We've done a lot of these internally here at Sendoso. They're really awesome. We have hundreds of different options for virtual events. They're great for kind of smaller roundtable events to break up the monotony, of just another webinar, and kind of share an experience with someone virtually, kind of almost replacing what you would get with an in-person event, but obviously doing this digitally and virtually. So they did sips and sends. So basically what they did was they leveraged one of our virtual experiences. It was a cocktail making class. So they had their BDRs who use SalesLoft invite people in part of their cadence. They had a step to invite someone to this virtual event. Once they registered and then got on the event, after the event, they were able to use a cadence as well that actually had a gift send that had a thank you note. So all it was a handwritten note and an e-gift card as well. And then they basically said, hey, next round is on us after doing that cocktail making class. So this was just one semi smaller scale campaign. And just from this campaign alone, they were able to generate $1.8 million of new pipeline to their target accounts. And overall influence $4 million of pipeline, because this was also not only cold prospects to get an opportunity created, but it also was used on people in an active deal cycle with them to move them further in that sales process. So another great way of, not only on that top of funnel cold prospecting, but how do we engage prospects in a creative way during the sales process? How do we gather that interest, get that, first conversation started? And this was a really good example of that Zoe was able to execute perfectly with Sendoso and SalesLoft. All right, this is one of my favorite ones. Zendesk is obviously a customer of ours as well. If you're not familiar with Zendesk, they're a service first CRM company that builds software designed to obviously improve customer relationships. I think that's what we're all here to do. And this was also a COVID kind of pivot play, right? The pandemic hit, the marketing team needed a new unique campaign to accelerate open deals. Because what happened, I think everyone probably experienced this in the first half of the pandemic, is there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of deals stalled out. All of a sudden, progression in the sales process stopped. People were waiting. So they were experiencing the same thing, and they were looking for a creative way to get re-engagement with stalled deals. So what they decided to do, obviously, this was a time where people were stuck at home. They needed something to do. I don't know about you, but I was pretty bored when we were in quarantine. So the marketing team decided to do an at-home movie night kit, obviously complete with popcorn, snacks, a trivia game, so super interactive, and a movie themed cookbook. So they also created a branded blanket to go along with kind of that at-home movie night theme. And the marketing team, one of the keys here, the marketing team was very closely aligned with the sales team. So they had account executives actually identify top accounts and opportunities they were already in conversations with that maybe had stalled out a little bit. So they had the AEs who are obviously in the ground floor. They know their deals, they know their champions and contacts better than anyone. Had them nominate the people that they wanted to spend this money on and gift on in a way to increase engagement and move them further along in the sales process. And through this campaign that Miro and Aaron and Kimberly were able to execute, they got a 15x ROI from what they spent to actually what pipeline moved on to that next stage. They were able to get a 15 times return. And they saw a 200% quarter over quarter increase in pipeline. So, obviously it's, again, this is probably about a $75 send all in. People that obviously were qualified, had good deals with, good champions. They just needed a way to creatively engage them, get a response, and get them moved on into the next stage of the sales process. So awesome campaign by Zendesk. And again, this shows you, we're kind of moving down that customer life cycle from cold to a little warmer. Now we're, really warm with obviously an active opportunity. And, one of the things I like to really preach to my team in that sales process is, this is a great use case for getting people re-engaged. But one thing I like to do is after that first call, how do we get the correct stakeholders involved early on? And a creative gift is a great way to do that. And it's a soft touch. Sometimes your champion doesn't want you to reach out to their boss or their executive or other people in other departments. So a gift is a really soft way to, hey, let those stakeholders know I'm talking to so-and-so. I wanted to, I'm thinking about you. Here's a gift on me. And it's a great way as a soft touch point to create that awareness early on. Now, once we've obviously closed a new customer, how do we create a memorable, top-notch experience during onboarding? This can be a super impactful step in that customer journey, from one, creating a fan of your product, but also creating a fan of your brand, creating that brand affinity. And so Better Cloud, if you aren't familiar with them, they're a software ops platform that enables IT teams to discover, manage, and secure all software applications. So it's a very technical product. Onboarding is, semi complex. And so they were looking for obviously a gifting strategy that, really they were looking for a vendor that was able to really handle all the packaging, the shipping, and the tracking, because they were doing this internally. And a lot of people start out with gifting and they do it internally and they figure out it's a great channel, but it's really hard to execute on an ongoing basis. And it takes a lot of time and resources. So that's kind of the problem that Better Cloud was having. They were spending way too much time packaging boxes, going to FedEx, shipping them out, finding different vendors to order through. And that's one of the biggest value props of Sendoso is operationalizing that whole process and making that easy, scalable, integrated into your existing technologies. So basically what Better Cloud does is anytime a new customer signs, they're sent a package that's a custom branded shirt, custom branded box, a tote bag, chapstick, and a physical copy of actually a book from the Better Cloud CEO, David. And it's basically the IT Leader's Guide to SaaS Ops, Volume 1 and 2. I'm not a very technical person myself, but this was a really creative way to not only, again, create that brand affinity early on, send them some swag so they can represent their brand, but also show thought leadership. How can we provide more value to our customer and be a thought leader in the space and share a best practice, share industry trends? And that, I love a good book send because you're able to do that and show your thought leader and, understand kind of how you might be able to help them. So the customer experience team also uses Sendoso to send $25 gift cards and a hoodie to customers who complete their required onboarding hours. So they have like kind of a university course. So anyone that completes that, they get, in order to drive adoption, understand the product. Obviously, those are healthy signs early on as a customer that they're going to be a sticky customer and obviously increase renewal. They send those things to obviously incentivize people to do the correct steps it takes to correctly onboard their product and really understand it. And then additionally, the last kind of play they run here is when a customer achieves a milestone, like an IPO, SOX compliant audit, customer success managers actually send a wine.com e-gift card. So, and they'll also send a Better Cloud socks and obviously like have some sort of punny messaging with those socks that they send them in order to congratulate them on that milestone, an IPO, a round of funding, someone gets promoted. They send those socks or a wine e-gift card. I love wine.com e-gift cards. It gives them the option to choose kind of obviously a lot of different alcohol options or wine. So it's a really thoughtful way to help them celebrate that milestone that they achieved. And through all of these different plays, they're able to increase not only, obviously this was a major customer use case, but they were also able to increase pipeline through these different sends as well, through referrals and such things like that. And they saw a 529% increase in direct mail close one influence. So deals that were actually attributed, upsell, cross-sell, net new deals that were attributed to some sort of direct mail or gift that was sent. So, obviously this was, further down the customer journey a bit, but it also can influence revenue by creating these relationships early on, creating that brand affinity, really being top-notch customer experience. That's going to drive revenue, again, through referrals, through upsell, through cross-sell opportunities. All righty. And then I believe this is our last customer story here. Also a really good one. This is kind of even further down that customer journey. How do we increase retention? Obviously that starts at the top of the customer funnel too, but Arctic Wolf is another cybersecurity company, obviously a super competitive market. And so they provide security monitoring for small and mid-sized organizations to detect and respond to obviously cyber threats, which are everly increasing in a more digital focused world. And part of the problem they were trying to solve was, number one, prevent deals from stalling in pipeline. I think there's nothing to prevent that from happening, but a great way to get people re-engaged is through a creative direct mail and a gift. I think every salesperson has been in the situation where, hey, I think this deal is gonna, be a slam dunk, and then all of a sudden something happens and the deal stalls out and we get ghosted for a little bit. So that was part of the problem Arctic Wolf was happening. They also wanted to target accounts with the highest probability of closing. Through different data sources, they were able to kind of identify what those target accounts were. And obviously they needed to increase engagement, influence growth within their existing customer base. So, they took their existing customers using data to find out who had the highest probability of a potential upsell opportunity. And, the solution, the use case for Sendoso is, number one, they sent welcome gift to new customers and appreciation gifts to existing customers, again, at those different key milestones in the customer journey. So 3 months they send a gift, 6 months they send a gift, 9 months they send a gift, all while staying top of mind and obviously developing that relationship with their champions and their power users of their product. Their marketing team also provided email templates for the CSMs to follow up with a call and set a meeting. After that meeting was sent, they would send a thank you e-gift. So all of these different plays that they ran, mainly with their customer base, was able to actually increase the net promoter score, but also they got 20% close won deals, equating 20% of quarterly revenue. These were upsell opportunities that they generated through creative direct mail and gifting plays. And overarching all opportunities in this just one campaign resulted in 41 influence net new opportunities. So, this just goes to show you it's a proven strategy that can make a huge impact revenue wise to a business, really, again, through that whole customer journey. And, all these different points in that customer journey, you might send 5-6 gifts equating to a couple $100. Depending on your contract size, obviously, lower contract size, you got to be a little more cognizant of the gift spend, but bigger contract sizes, that allows for a lot of creativity and a lot of higher value gifts as well. Awesome. Well, hopefully those were helpful customer stories. Obviously Sendoso, a little bit more about us and kind of our value proposition and all the ways we help our customers obviously create more scalable connections with opening up this powerful channel of, gifting and direct mail. I wanted to get into more of the specifics. If you are not using a sending platform right now, you're interested in learning more about it. There's 3 kind of common core themes you really should look at when you're, investing in a sending platform to help you scale this strategy, either domestically or globally. And the 3 pillars that we really feel are the most important to achieving success with a strategy like this are these 3 on my screen here. 1, technology. There's a lot of vendors in this space. A lot of them have a decent technology. So that's 1 core component. And the key with the software aspect, it has to be easy to use. It has to be adoptable. And it has to integrate into your existing workflows, because the last thing a salesperson wants, a customer success person, marketing, is they don't want to have to log into a separate platform and do a completely new workflow. People want to stay within their existing workflows and do it, with ease, with a click of the button. And so that's what Sendoso's technologies provides, is it gives you a really easy to use platform that integrates into your existing workflow, driving more adoption, ease of use, and saving a lot of time and resources because of that. It's also CSO and CFO approved. The reason we say that is because we have a really strong financial backend that allows teams to manage budgets accordingly, limit what they can spend per month, have different funding sources for different teams. Marketing has a budget separate from HR or customer success. You can kind of silo your sending budget within our platform, allowing you to scale this. And, CFOs obviously love the control aspect of it, and additionally love the tracking aspect of it. We bring a traditionally offline channel online and allow you to send this with a click of a button, but also track the influence and impact that each of these gifts are having. Second pillar, which is super crucial, especially for a global strategy, is the logistics component. A lot of people in this space use third-party companies to handle the logistics. One of the benefits of working with a customer like Sendoso is we've made a lot of investments in actually owning and operating our own warehouses, so we can control, the SLAs, the quality, custom kitting. We're able to do a lot more custom kitted projects because we have the flexibility and we have the know-how of doing this because we own and operate that logistics layer. Additionally, being green is super important to a lot of companies out there, super important to us as well. So we have green packaging that's recyclable. We're doing a lot of initiatives around planting trees for every package we send, because we understand, hey, this is obviously products, physical, and there is an environment offset because of that. And so we're really conscious about doing the right things for the environment there on the logistics piece as well. And then the third, I think, which is our North Star here at Sendoso, and I think the most important thing for anytime you're looking at partnering with a new vendor, is the expertise, the support, the services you're going to provide. Gifting direct mail, you might think is kind of a set it and forget it channel, and it can be to some extent, but it is a higher touch, higher strategic channel. So you're going to need best practices in terms of what's going to work specifically for your personas, specifically for your use case, specifically for your unique value proposition. We approach every customer very white glove, and we don't just suggest the same gifts across the board. Obviously, we have the most customers in the space, so we have the most data that actually is going to allow us to steer you in the right direction to maximize your investment as early as possible. And we give you a whole team here at Sendoso, from an onboarding coach to a customer success manager to a solutions person to help set up any integrations or custom reporting, to obviously in-app support 24/7, to always support every leg of the way with a sending strategy, whether you're starting small, scaling this to one team, or you're scaling it across the whole organization. So again, just to summarize, these are 3 core components you should really look into if you are not using a sending platform. These are the 3 core components you should really kind of dig into while you're evaluating a sending platform to best fit your needs. Obviously, a lot of customers are global. A lot of companies are global, dispersed. One of the benefits, again, working with a company like Sendoso, we've made a ton of investments. We actually opened up a Dublin, Ireland office a few months ago. And so we are a global company that has global network of warehouses, third-party vendors with local vendors, e-gifts in different currencies that allow you to do this strategy wherever you need to in the world. And as I mentioned before, SalesLoft is one of our favorite partners, one of our favorite integrations. Obviously, you guys are all SalesLoft customers. Awesome tool. We seamlessly integrate into SalesLoft, so we empower, SDRs, customer success, anyone using a cadence tool like SalesLoft to easily integrate a direct mail or gifting step within an existing or new cadence. So you can do it straight from SalesLoft. You move to the next step in that cadence. It's sending a customized gift. You can easily do that straight within SalesLoft. It tracks it all back to SalesLoft as well. You can also do a one-off send within SalesLoft. So hey, I want to just send something to Susie here. I can go to her contact in SalesLoft, send it one-off, type out a custom note as well. Additionally, we integrate into many different technologies across sales, marketing, and other teams as well. So CRMs like Salesforce, HubSpot, marketing automation tools, sales engagement tools, customer engagement, account-based marketing tools is another big one. I know a lot of people are kind of focused more on strategic outreach with account-based marketing efforts. We integrate into a lot of those tools to obviously enable you to send to the right people at the right time. And then Kai, you want to finish up with these last 2 slides here?
Absolutely. So, it's one thing for us to tell you how great this is. I mean, obviously we are big fans of sending, and it's more important, and there's way more value when you hear from our customers. So Gong is one of our longstanding customers. They see immense value with their sending strategy. They've got a really fun brand, and so they really use sending to really enhance the brand impact, as well as differentiate and really make themselves memorable with their customers. We worked with Forrester to actually measure ROI for Sendoso for customers using a sending strategy. And it's proven that there is immense ROI. It pays itself back in under 6 months in terms of the investment. And Russell's one of our fans and is definitely a big proponent of Sendoso and for sending. So he's definitely a great test case for how well this works.
And I can take this one, Kai, because this is probably my favorite slide of all time. humble brag here. Sendoso was voted in 2022 on G2's number 5 list of best software products. I think SalesLoft was up there as well, which is obviously a partnership made in heaven. And I think the point I like to make with this slide is, if you're not doing gifting, you should be, because it is especially in this hybrid world, it is a table stakes strategy and solution you need in order to better enable your sellers, better enable your customer facing people, allow you as potential marketers to separate your brand from the competition, separate you as an individual to that contact you're reaching out to. And this just goes to show people are adopting this, and you certainly don't want to be left behind. So if you're doing direct mail or gifting internally, just kind of ad hoc, happy to talk. If you're not doing this at all, happy to educate on, obviously we did a little bit of that today, but creating a business case around why this makes sense to invest in. All righty, Kat, we are through all the slides.
So we've got a couple of questions here. We had one that, Kai, I think you actually started to answer, but somebody was asking, do you think that food and alcohol is a sensitive thing to send, given that everyone has allergies and or drinking preferences? What's your experience been with that?
So our vendors are all really good about querying sort of preferences and allergies ahead of the event, because they are shipping kits to everybody's home. So for example, for the mixology courses, there are always non-alcoholic options included. So participants can still be part of the action and mix up a really great alcohol-free drink, and as well as any food preferences. So like gluten-free and other allergies, the providers are really good about checking for that in advance.
Nice.
Yeah, and one thing I would add, Kat and Kai, as well, is with Sendoso, you can preemptively kind of ask what they would want. So a lot of our sellers, our SDRs here, will give them a few options. Maybe they'll give them red wine, white wine, a sweet treat, and then maybe a charity choice e-gift card where they can donate to the charity of their choice if they don't want a gift that we're suggesting. So you can give them a couple options to choose from to prevent, sending someone that might be allergic to peanuts, a sweet treat with peanuts. So definitely have some flexibility with Sendoso. We have a very wide breadth of send options, which allows you to really find something that's going to resonate with that person.
Nice. All right, next question here. And you kind of mentioned this with an e-gift. So if you didn't want to send to a home address, or maybe you didn't want to ask for their home address, could you just send them an e-gift? And do you think that that's as effective versus sending a physical gift?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And my answer will probably be disappointed. It depends. I think e-gifts and physical gifts are not something we recommend as a best practice as a first touch point. Sending a gift as a first thing you ever talk to someone about can seem a little more gimmicky. So what we recommend, and specifically with like a SalesLoft cadence, for instance, we see much better response rates and conversion rates when a gift, or a physical gift or an e-gift, is actually later in the cadence. Typically we recommend between touch points 7 and 10. And the reason for that is, use your digital channels, emails, LinkedIn connections, in-mails, that create that awareness around the problem you're solving, your product, your brand. Obviously, these are free channels too. An email doesn't cost money to send. Once we start seeing some engagement, open rates, maybe a potential response, or maybe we're not getting there, that's when you can use gifting, whether it's an e-gift. One thing I like to do with e-gifts is when you see someone open an email in one of your cadences, send them an e-gift as a follow-up. Hey, I saw you opened up, this case study, or you visited our website, or you're reading through our email. Here's a coffee gift on us to, supercharge you while you're reading through that. Additionally, after maybe they've done some of that stuff, send a physical gift, great way to convert them into that actual initial conversation as well.
Nice. And then you mentioned something earlier in the presentation about your home address, like verification system. How exactly does that work?
Yeah. So we have a feature called address verification here at Sendoso. Obviously, with sending physical goods and gifts, you have to send it somewhere. And most companies have typically a company address, HQ, in your CRM or in your marketing automation. And we're not sure if they're working in the office today, in today's world. So what the address verification feature allows you to do is actually preemptively send an email, or you can do it via like LinkedIn, via a hyperlink as well. And all it is a landing page for them to say, hey, we want to send you a gift. We have an address on file. We aren't sure if it's the right one or not. We'd like you to input your address here to obviously get this to where you're at, whether you're at home or the office. So it gives that recipient, number one, an opportunity to kind of opt in, which is a great indication they're engaged and ready to talk. Number two, if they do not actually fill out that address, you have the ability to cancel the order. So you're only spending money on people, gifts and people are going to get to the right place, and people that want the gift as well. So it's basically an email that triggers out, or a hyperlink that you can put in your own email. That email can be completely customized, branded to you. It can come from your domain, and it is very customizable as well. And the benefit there is, especially with if they do not confirm their address, cancel the order option. Again, it makes direct mail and gifting much more efficient. You're only sending to people that are engaged. It's getting to the right place at the right time.
Yeah. Awesome. So next question here. Do you find that maybe there's a specific role type that is using this more than others? So like, for example, is it more so BDRs or AEs or CS? Like, have you seen any kind of bias towards roles there?
Yeah, definitely sales and marketing. So definitely account executives leverage this. Some account executives run the full sales cycle from prospecting to close. Some have SDRs. Our team has the benefit of having SDRs. So our AEs leverage this very heavily. Obviously we drink our own champagne too, and we're able to highlight our own value prop using Sendoso. But as an AE, it's a great way to develop that relationship with the champion, get other stakeholders involved, say thank you, just be thoughtful throughout the sales process. BDRs, SDRs leverage this heavily as well to give them another arrow in their quiver to separate their outreach, right? So BDRs, SDRs, AEs, definitely bread and butter of Sendoso, and then marketing teams. This is a strategy you can automate as well, within a Marketo workflow, a nurture workflow, email campaign. You want to have some sort of, GIF when they do a certain action, they meet certain criteria. You can certainly automate the strategy as well. And then also to field marketing. And then customer facing teams are coming increasingly more and more popular. Retention is a big deal right now. Creating a first-class customer experience is a big deal. So we have a lot of customer success teams coming to us, a lot of account managers as well, as a way to, again, develop their relationships with their customers. So the answer to your question, Kat, is traditionally, yeah, sales has been our bread and butter, marketing's been our bread and butter, but these customer facing teams are more and more increasingly popular.
All right, one more here. What do you do if the company doesn't have budget for sending things like this? Do you have other suggestions? You have maybe cheaper options that work?
Yeah, we certainly have pricing that scales up and down based on kind of where you're at in your strategy, where you're at as a company, SMB, all the way up to enterprise. If there's no budget whatsoever, typically we can have a conversation, potentially figure out where we might be able to pull some budget, depending on maybe a certain channel not performing at the level it once did. No, but my advice for if you're an individual IC, individual contributor, start doing this. Go to a website, order a gift. You'll be amazed with the response. Obviously, it's not an ideal workflow, but to create some anecdotal data and relevance to maybe your boss, do some of this stuff kind of ad hoc, test it, share the winnings and track everything as best you can. And obviously, if you can get some quick wins, which I know you can if you're doing it correctly, you'll be able to make a business case to your boss to check something like this out. Again, as I mentioned earlier, this is more and more increasingly being adopted, and companies a lot of them are doing this internally and need a better way, or talking about rolling out a sending strategy.
Nice. All right, last question here. Can a gift be forwarded?
Yeah, it can. Simple answer.
Simple answer. Simple question, simple answer.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that's everything that I'm seeing here in the Q&A. Thank you so much for presenting on this. It was such a great conversation and presentation to have. I hope that everybody on the call took away some good information from the session. As a reminder, this is recorded. You guys will receive the recording after the event, as well as the deck that was presented here today. So be on the lookout for that. And if you ever want to attend any other future Sales Loft events, webinars like this, you can check out salesloft.com/events. And if you want to learn more about Sendoso, you can head to their website and learn more information there as well.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Kat and
Thanks.
Sales Loft team. We appreciate you.
Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Bye, everyone.